It's wonderful to welcome Liz Lenten to this podcast. She is a musician based in Lincolnshire, United Kingdom, and she's part of the band Auburn. Liz, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. Hi.
Yeah, it's
How are you?
wonderful to having you on. It's yeah, just a little bit of background. We went a little back and forth in regards to the date of the recording. So because either both of us have like different commitments.
It's been busy. Today we've actually been shooting the front cover of the next album in
Oh,
this
okay.
side, which is why you have me with full makeup today. Otherwise, you would have me looking a bit of a mess.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So tell me about the next album.
The next album is called Behind the Scenes, and we have a podcast actually called Behind the Scenes of an Indie Artist, which is me talking to all my collaborators over the last 20 years. Everybody, the producers, the PR, the musicians, the co-writers. And this album is all collaborations that either co-writes or the co-productions. We've recorded in Nashville, we've recorded it in Brighton, in England, we've recorded it in Australia, and we just put it all together for this album. So that's what the album's about, really. It's just about collaborations.
I see. Yeah. So when can I hear it?
Well, the album will be out on January the 16th, but we're going to start, I'll put you on the list. We're going to start sending out promo copies around October to start building it up. So that first single will be out in October.
Okay. Yeah. I look forward to it.
Oh, bless you.
My apologies. But yeah, I look forward to listening to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. And hopefully when the album comes out, we can do this again.
That would be great. That would be lovely. Thank you. And I'll keep you posted. The album's just coming out on vinyl and digital. Oh, have you got hay fever?
Just a little bit, but it's okay. Yeah. Yeah. So you said the album's out on vinyl, right?
Yeah, so the album will be coming out just digitally and also on vinyl. So we don't have CDs this time. We may bring it out on cassette, as people have asked. So it's crazy, isn't it? It's all the old formats. But yeah, it's going to be special. I'm very happy. There's some amazing people that I've been working with on the album, and I'm glad. It's just lovely to put them all together.
Okay. That's great. Yeah. So what are some of the highlights in the recording process?
For me, I mean, the recording is, I've started recording some parts here. So in the past, I've always gone to Nashville, recorded live with the band, and then come home and then brought it back with me. But this time we started working this way after COVID. So the backing tracks, I've done like a rough version of the song. That's then gone to my producer in Nashville or wherever. They've done their version. They've come back. I've done my vocals. And then we've either brought in guests. So we've had people coming in. So it's been a really putting the tracks together this time. And I've actually loved watching the tracks build slowly and get more texture and get more um more the feel of the song. So it's been a really interesting process, and I've enjoyed that. That's definitely been one of the good bits. But now it's getting to the point where we're all finished. There's just two songs to just finish off, and now we've got to try and work out running orders and things like that, which is really difficult when you know the songs so well.
Certainly. Yeah. So what are some of the singles or songs that have been released, in anticipation for the album so
Okay,
far?
so first of all, the song called "Good to Be Anywhere," which came out a few months ago, and that was written with Martin Sutton, the multi-million selling. He was lovely to work with. We wrote that on a little writing retreat up in the mountains in Spain, and it's just a song about just being happy to just be alive, really. It's good to be here, it's good to be anywhere. And then there was another single that's just come out from the album, the latest single, and it's called John Doe, and it's with a rapper from Ottawa in Canada, a young rapper called Dante Augustus. He's amazing. And basically, it's the story of a girl that meets this guy, and she she falls madly in love and she thinks he's madly in love with her, and she's talking to her dad up in heaven who's passed away, and he can see that this guy's not in love with her at all. He's a con artist. And so we've got the dad, the rap god, literally rap dad up in heaven, trying to tell his daughter that this guy is no good, and she's totally oblivious and totally besotted. So that's a fun one.
That's incredible.
And then, yeah, there's a few more singles coming in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I listened to both of the songs and yeah, I find them quite beautiful.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah, so you mentioned being with the same band or being in the music business for about 20 years.
Yes, I have. So Auburn, my initial co-partner and co-writer, Mark Gustafina, he still plays with me when we play live, and we still write together as well. So we've always worked together. And my drummer, live drummer, has been with me for 15, 16 years. And then I have a band in Nashville. My producer in Nashville, Tom Jarts, has produced the last 4 albums. But this album, some of the tracks Tom has produced, but I've worked with other producers as well. So Auburn's always been more of a collective, really. There's Auburn Live, who I tour with, and then Auburn Recording is whoever we want to work with.
I see.
It's a
Yeah.
nice way to do it.
Mhm. So what are some of the things that you've learned after 20 or so years in the business?
Well, I've learned that you can't please all the people all the time, and that you have to just focus on the people that do get you and do connect with you and that you can connect with. As I've learned that, I've learned that you should just tell people. I've helped a lot of people along the way, but I have been helped so much myself along the way. And I think this business, people can, when you go into it and you're younger, it feels more competitive. But actually, it isn't, because music, all art is subjective, and it's all, your trash could be my treasure and vice versa. So it's a case of, you just have to find your tribe, the stuff that people that like your stuff, and you can't please all the people all the time. And then the other thing I've learned is just to be myself, which took a little while. Let's say for the first 10 years, I was trying to be whatever it was I thought people wanted me to be. Um, and then once I started to just do what I do, you win some, you lose some. But it's been more of a win for me, because it feels, it makes me happier.
Let's see. How did you get started?
I got started. I mean, I always sang at home. My dad was played the piano. My grandma played the piano, so it was a lot of singing at home in the house. And I had singing voice training from about 10. I did classical background, believe it or not. And then when I was 16, I joined a jazz band, a little local jazz band that played all the old Billie Holiday songs and Ella Fitzgerald and stuff, which I loved, and a function band. And that's sort of how I ended up being pro, because I started off doing functions, cabarets, and then eventually, after touring, I toured a lot when I was younger, and then eventually moved to London. Then I lived up north then in Manchester, um, and started to develop more of my own stuff. But for the first few years, when I was very young, I was just doing functions and covers and just anything I could to perform.
Mhm. And how did Auburn, the band, begin?
Oh, and the band began because I met Gus. I opened a studio in London, in Tottenham, in North London. And Mark Gustavina, Gus, who's my guitarist and co-founder and writing partner, I met him. He came in to rehearse at the studios, and I was looking for guitarists to work on some new songs. And he jumped in, said, "I'm in," and so we put a band together and did our first gigs. And we had several embarrassing names before we came up with Auburn, which we do, you know, we do just try and put them to bed. I don't know where they came from, but we had a series of random stupid names, and then Auburn just stuck for some reason. So Auburn we became.
Hmm. Yeah. So is there any like significance in meaning to the Auburn name?
I'm really sorry. I feel like I should have something profound and interesting to say to you, but it was literally the hair color that I was putting on at the time, and we needed a new name because the one we had was ridiculous. So I was like, "What about Auburn? My hair's Auburn," and they were like, "Yeah," because at the time, you know, one of my favorite bands always was Blondie, so I was happy to be Auburn. That was my sort of nod to Blondie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they are amazing.
Ugh, favorite bands ever.
So do you miss London?
Oh God, that's a really bad thing to say. I do spend still quite a lot of time there because my partner lives down there, so I'm there quite a lot. But I miss, I don't miss living there. I shouldn't say that, but no, I've been out of London, living out in the countryside. I do miss towns, but because London's so easy to access from anywhere really in England, um, I don't miss living there. No, it is super fast and super busy. And I was there, I had my studios there for nearly 15 years in London before I moved up to the Lincolnshire countryside. So I don't miss living there. I don't miss the bedlam, but I obviously it's always fantastic to go, and I'm there a lot.
Yeah. What's the best part of living in the English countryside?
Certainly not the pollen at the moment. It's hay fever city around here for me, I'm afraid. But and it's not particularly quiet at the moment because the gardeners and I can hear a lawnmower. Um, but it is a slower pace. Life, I mean, it's frantically busy here. We run the office from here, and we run the music company, and we've got a print company. So although this particular house is busy, it is much slower paced. There's not so much traffic. People are lot more laid back, and it's just not so busy.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty ideal.
Yeah, it is, it is nice. It is nice to be able to take a breath and just sort of relax. I say I spend quite a lot of time in London, and it is, you forget how fast paced everything is there. You get a tube home at midnight and it's packed. Where it's here, I'm the only one up at midnight.
Mhm.
Me and the
Yeah.
foxes.
So, how's Nashville different from London?
Nashville's completely different from London. Nashville's so the main, sort of downtown part of Nashville is just amazing. It's on the river, and then you've got the main drag Broadway. You've got music in live music in every bar, day and night. You've got the best boots and hat shops in the world. Every single time I go to Nashville, I end up buying a pair of cowboy boots because they're like nowhere else. Um, and it really is Music City. You go to the supermarket, somebody's playing. That you literally everywhere. There's just incredible musicians, and in the music scene there, everybody's so friendly and so lovely. Um, and you kind of wonder why have people at that kind of level of talent. But they're just all like that, some real sort of, it is very commercialized. But when I'm there to work, I'm in my bubble. Tom's studio is a little bit out of Nashville. So it's a 20-minute drive out of town, and it's right in the middle of the woods, beautiful house and studio in the middle of the woods. So it's great because they're there in this tranquil, amazing, inspirational, vibey place recording, and then 20 minutes later you can be downtown Broadway trying not to speak too much until I finish my vocals because it's it's just I love Nashville. I mean, I'd move in a heartbeat. Not right now, not too keen on America at the moment, but previously I would have loved to have been there, but obviously families and ties here. But it's very different to London. London's sprawling. London centre goes on. It's very, 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 very populated, and Nashville's not like that. It's much more spread out, and doesn't seem to be so many people around.
Mhm. Yeah. So, how would you describe the Auburn sound?
It's a difficult one because I mean, if people use genres and tags as sort of Americana, and it's folky and it's bluesy, rootsy. A lot of people say rootsy. It's just a mixture. really of like folky vibes and jazzy vibes and a bit of blues and a bit of pop. I see it as a little bit of a amalgamation. Um, and I say, if you need a total thing Americana, I guess, but some people call it country. Like in Nashville, they love it because it's not like anything else they do. It's not like Nashville country music. So for them, it's really quirky in English. But in England, people listen to me and think it's kind of country because, that people have different views. So if you like, blues, roots, folk, a bit of country, a bit of pop, it's a bit like that. How would you describe it, John?
Yeah, I would go for definitely more American than British.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people are surprised when they find out that a British band. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the number one or the most obvious distinction between like American popular music and British popular music in your view?
Um, well, I'm not sure because I mean, obviously, a lot of British people love American music, and a lot of American people love British music. I think British music tends to be, trying to say this, tends to be a little more quirky in that it's just a little bit more. I think American music, and I was talking actually to my bass player from Nashville, and he's saying American music, particularly Nashville, has become a little bit formulated, a little bit formula, and starting to sound a bit similar. And it's also very commercial. I think American music is sort of aimed at an audience, whereas I think a lot of British musicians are not quite there yet. They're more bit about making music. And so I think British music can be a bit quirkier and a bit more authentic and maybe less accessible. And I think American music is just brilliantly put together and ticks all the boxes. But you don't get so many weird artists popping up there as you do in the UK.
Mhm. What do you find are some of the oddest musicians to come out of the United Kingdom?
The oddest musicians to come out of the United Kingdom. I'm trying to think who I would choose. I mean, obviously, the whole punk thing was came from England, so that was like a bit of a shock to the system. But there's also lots of kind of like quirky, funky bands, and people just doing different stuff. People, I'm trying to think who I would. I'm trying to think of somebody. Come back to me on that. I can't. My mind's gone blank. I'm trying to think of who. I listen to so much stuff. Who did I say that's really quirky? It's come out of here.
Mhm. Yeah.
People like Ray. I mean, for instance, Ray, I think is an incredible artist, and she goes from full on jazz singing to full on hip hop and R&B. She's sort of mixed up, and people like Lily Allen. She was a sort of a bit off the wall in terms of pop music. Um, but there's loads of more sort of underground artists. That's a band called Goose that just it did the most cerebral stuff that you had to really follow the story. And it's what 1 minute it's pop, another minute. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff, quirky stuff like that.
I see. Yeah. Um, One of the other artists I found is Billy Bragg. I've never been able to discern his sound.
Well, funnily enough, we're doing a show with Billy Bragg in. Billy Bragg is typical English, based in English tradition, but not in the sort of National Front right wing English way. And so that's the thing with Billy Bragg. It's very outspoken. It's very sort of common man. It's not patriotism. It's about real people. Um, and yeah, he's quite a character. He's worked with some musicians that I work with, and doing a show with Martin Carthy. He's doing a show with him in September, which is Martin Carthy tribute. Billy Bragg's going to be on that. So Billy Bragg's he's a real storyteller. He's a politician within his songs.
I see. Yeah. Well,
That's what people like about him here.
yeah, I should try to reconsider him then.
Good luck with that. He's an
Okay.
acquired taste, but he's kind of political.
I see. Yeah. The thing is that I could never discern like the topics that he's discussing because I'm not that well versed into, I guess working class British culture.
Yeah, well, that's basically, that's what he's about. He's about, I say, but not in a right wing way. He's in a more in a social, in a more left, much more left wing fashion.
Of course. Yeah. So you mentioned living in Lincolnshire. Is that where you grew up?
No, I grew up. My family's from Manchester, which is the northwest, and then I went to school in Leicester, which is the East Midlands, and then I lived back in Manchester, and then down in London, and then ended up here in Lincolnshire. So, but it's been my hometown for 20 years now, so I'm kind of got used to it.
Mhm. So are regional differences between like British peoples still like very prominent and prevalent?
Yes, yes, very much. I mean, I live in Lincolnshire is the second biggest county in the country, and it also because I do a lot of work, music, singing work in schools, and we have over 100 schools, for instance, in this county with less than 100 children in them. So my daughter went to a school that just had 3 classes for over 7 years because there was only a handful of kids in each class. So Lincolnshire is very, very rural. So it's rural living. Whereas you get to other counties, I'm really sorry, you get to other counties and or urban areas, and it's totally different living. So yeah, the people are different. I say a lot of the kids around here have never been to London. It's a long way, it's a big way. Whereas the kids from the big cities not spent a lot of time in the countryside. So yeah, it's more the difference, obviously in the different counties, the different parts of the country. Everybody's warm up north. Everyone can walk around in t-shirts in the middle of winter. Everybody's always freezing in the south. They're all there with coats and scarves on in the middle of summer. It's that north-south divide. Um, but yeah, I mean, people I think are different everywhere. I think wherever you go, people form their own little bubbles, and you can pick up little nuances.
Certainly. Yeah. So how's the weather where you are currently?
At the moment, it's very warm, very muggy, and it's just getting a little bit windy, which is nice. We're not used to hot weather here, as you probably know, and we're not used to humidity. So it's been very humid, and everybody is staggering around moaning about the heat, even though we spend the whole winter moaning about the cold.
Oh yeah, I hear that it's a common British pastime, like complaining
It
about the
is.
weather.
It is. Talking about the weather, asking about the weather, checking the weather, complaining about the weather. And lots of people will check the weather. And if it looks like it's going to rain, they'll just check on a different app till they find an app that says it's not going to rain, and then they're happy. We are obsessed with the weather.
Yeah.
But right now, it's hot and sunny.
What is I guess an element or a trait of British culture that is not commonly known outside of Britain?
It's not commonly known. Well, you probably know that we queue for everything.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
probably more well known. I think the fact that in Britain nobody can take a compliment. I think that's I think that's a British trait that people don't realise. Nobody can take a compliment. If you give anyone a compliment, they'll write it off as somebody derogatory. They'll be self-deprecating about it. Um, I think there's that. Um, Other things that British people that they would be surprised about. I think just how much we moan. I don't know. Do you think of Brits as people that moan a lot?
As in a
Just always complaining.
oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. I don't think people realise how much we like to complain. We love British people will complain about anything. They will complain if the sun's out. They will complain if it's cloudy. They'll complain if it's rain. So yeah, if you don't know British people, just expect us to moan a lot.
Hmm. That's it. No, my exposure to British culture is primarily been through its situational comedies.
Oh,
So
okay. Which ones?
um, my favorite is Blackadder.
Okay, so everybody's favorite is Blackadder because it is absolutely hysterical. And yeah, that is definitely a caricature of English humor. Bye bye. That's my PA. She's just leaving. That was Daisy. Um, yes, definitely. I mean, that is typically English. That is exactly what English people are like deep down. And we don't like to admit it.
Yeah, and yeah, I detect like a certain self-deprecating nature in every
Yes, that's what
joke.
British humor is about self-deprecation. It's not it's it's not about trumpet blowing. It's definitely about self-deprecation. We love to knock things down. And we're not interested in the building up. We just wait. We let someone else do that. We just wait till it's our chance to knock them down. And then it's just a little fight for who can come out with the wittiest, most hilarious things. But I think British wit is something that could also be misunderstood. British wit and sarcasm can come across as quite harsh. And in my experience, it can be very cutting, but it's the people that I know anyway, it's all done in humour. Bye, thank you. Sorry, my staff leaving. I think British wit is meant it's all about intent. And so people will say the most cutting things to you, but that it's said out of humour and it's not said out of malice. And again, I think if you're not English, sometimes you can misinterpret. I've had people like this the way we're talking to each other, but actually we know it's all, it's banter. Banter. You heard of
Yeah,
British banter?
yeah. I believe a good example would be that the British English or British banter usually use that word that begins with C and is spelled UNT. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
just
Americans and Canadians would be abhorred when that word is
yeah,
used.
yeah, definitely. Some of the language that the Brits use in everyday fun, yeah, other places do not take it. But I don't know, there just isn't anything that people won't. Obviously, there's a lot of the British population that would not want the C bomb dropping on them at any point. I mean, I tell you what, I would have never said that in front of my mum ever. Like ever, because I think the disappointment in her face would have said it all. But now it is sort of generally, and some people hate it, other people just use it um, as part of their vocabulary. And again, I think there's a lot of the population that just use swearing as a form of expression in terms of just trying to emphasize as a form of emphasis um, with no, not meaning to be sort of swearing or offensive. But that's how thing about taking, are you giving offense or are you taking offense? That's British comedy doesn't really care.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know that there's this very famous show, The Thick of It, right?
Particularly,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The four-letter words are just flying out like candy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. No, it's just sort of every day because we do a lot of work with young children, and it's really interesting to me how all the older people, all the older teens have a teen group, and also the adults. We keep it together for the whole session, and it's last travel. Everyone's dropping f bombs, and so people basically we can control it if we have to, i.e., if there's children there or people that people consider it inappropriate. So people can control it and switch it on and off. I have a few friends that I'm not sure if they can, if they that I wouldn't put in a room with children. Put it that way.
Yeah. So, what is your life like outside of music?
Is there a life outside music? I don't. I don't. I mean, everything I do is music related. So I run a youth choir. Obviously, that's music related. I run a kids music club and a youth young music leader training program. Um, I do work with a booking agency, so I book and look after other artists. I run a couple of record labels, and we have a small print company. So it's all for music merch. So there isn't, I don't really have a life outside music, which is, music is not just my job, it's also my passion. If I get a night off, I'll probably play the guitar and write a song. That's
Mhm.
sort of how. And, even my social life is revolved around music. We normally go to see a show or something. I don't know. I don't know how people separate it really. It's so much part.
I see. Yeah. So, what is the most interesting music-related thing that you've done this year?
The most interesting music related thing, I think it's, I've just done a track for a Welsh poet. It's spoken word. It's called, um, his name's David Lambert. I'm trying to, it's Wenalt is the name of the act. But basically, it's all spoken word. He's got a lovely Welsh accent, a Welshman. And he's worked with 10 or 12 different producers. Um, and he just gave us his lyrics and a spoken version, or a rough spoken version of the thing, and we put tracks together to it. So I put a track together for that, and that was really interesting because I've been training on Ableton. I've switched to Ableton for my VAW. So it was really nice actually to work on a track and not particularly have to think about the top line. I didn't have to worry about words and melody. I just had to work just on the track. So that was a really nice collaboration, and there was a bit of toing and froing. Do you like this? Do you like that sort of thing? And that is up now for I think 3 of those tracks are up for awards in the Welsh Music Awards. So that was a really, really interesting project, and I would love to do more of that. And then I have next Wednesday, we have a huge event online. It's a gigathon. It's basically, think Comic Relief meets Tiny Desk Concert. So we're going to be presenting from here, but I have 14 award-winning artists from around the globe, a few from Nashville, from Canada, quite a few from England. And we have 14 artists, and we're raising money for a toilet block in a school in Uganda for orphans. Um, and it's going to be live. Everyone's going to be dropping on, telling us, because we're raising money for a toilet block, everyone's going to be telling us their best toilet bathroom tour story. So I'm looking forward to them. There's a lot of bathroom humour going to be involved, and hopefully we'll raise enough money for them. But the lineup is incredible. We have Gretchen Peters and Barry Walsh. We've got Tom Jutz. We've got Eliza and Martin Carthy. We have Catherine Williams, Martin Stevenson, The Fugitives, Catherine Williams, Joe Lever, Kim Ritchie, Robert Vincent. We have a whole array. Kat Amy, Martin Sutton, Pam Shane, who wrote Genie in a Bottle, and her new act Eva. The artists who've got involved. So I'm totally obsessed with that at the moment. I will send you a link. Please do log on and join us. It's going to be good. It's going to be 4 hours of chat, live music, and begging.
It's cool. Yeah. Yeah, I hope to join. Do send me the link.
I'd love that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I wish you the best of luck with the event.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So, tell me the cost of the charity again. Was it
It's
uh
$5, $5 US.
yeah, no, the cost as in like what is it for?
Cause, sorry, the cause. So there was a school in Uganda, in Kabale in Uganda, and it's a school for children that are orphans or been neglected or abandoned, basically. And it was built by a young founder through volunteers. They built a little school there, but they don't have any toilet facilities. So we've started the project. They've got some water to the village, but they haven't got no proper flushing, nothing like that. So we're trying to raise money to build a proper toilet block, and try and get the running water, so the sinks near the toilets, and just build a proper toilet block. We need £3,200 sterling, which is not a lot of money, but it's just difficult. There's so much going on, so many people being asked to give for so much stuff. And so we thought, well, we'll just have to, do something special. So I asked a few artists, and the next thing I know, I've got 14 incredible artists all logging on to join us. I'm going to just shut the door. Can you hear this strimmer?
Actually, I cannot. So
Oh, okay,
it's
cool.
good on my end.
It's not bothering. Okay, sorry.
No,
So
it's
yeah, so that's what it's about.
okay. Yeah, it's sounds like a very interesting
It
cause.
is. It's special. You know, it's difficult because you can't help everybody. You can't do everything, and you can't. You know, so much big stuff going on in the world. I we just thought this is something surely that we can. This is something small we can get hold of and do, and it will make a huge difference to those kids and their health.
Yes. Yeah. So speaking of the Welsh poet musician, have you been to Wales?
I have been to Wales a few times. Yes, I've played there. I've gigged there, and I've visited friends there. It's a beautiful country.
Hmm. Yeah, it's among my least. I think it's my least known region of the United Kingdom. I know of Scotland and Northern Ireland, and of course Britain, but yeah, Wales seems to be a little understated.
It is very understated. Wales is very beautiful, very mountains, and they still speak Welsh. There is still a Welsh language that is now, I believe, being taught in schools again. You know, to make sure the language itself doesn't die out. Uh, it's just a beautiful place. You know, stunning scenery. The Welsh people are very laid back, and they're usually pretty friendly. Um, and yeah, I say we've done some great shows there. And they've also got a really cool accent, which is, they literally sound like they're singing when they speak. And they're famously very good singers, the Welsh. They have a lot of male voice choirs there. They're famous for the male voice choirs. And Tom Jones, of course, famously from Wales.
Okay, yeah, oh, that's wonderful. Right. So, how would you chronicle the evolution of the band or your own artistry so far? Auburn or yourself.
Well, I like to think it's developed. I think, you know, starting off at the beginning and collaborating, you know, Gus and I were doing most of it, and how it's developed. You know, we put records out, then we got to do tours. We did a lot of touring, a couple of tours a year, supporting various different American bands, which was fantastic for us because we got to meet new audiences, and of course they got to meet us. So that, you know, that's been really, really good for us. And then, you know, it just developed really into more and more collaborators. I started to go to Nashville to work with them over there while still working with the musicians here. That's what me and Auburn is, much more of a kind of collective. And then, you know, a year and a bit ago, we started the podcast, which has been another kind of angle, and we've got a chance to share the amazing skills of all our collaborators. And it's just developed, yeah, into a sort of family. Whenever we go on tour, we call it the Auburn All Inclusive because we genuinely feel like we're on holiday. I'm not saying we don't have our moments where it doesn't feel like a holiday, but just we just love being together and being on the road together and performing together. And so you know, it's a joy. But I think we're lucky because we don't do it all the time. You know, we do it once, twice a year, and that's just like wonderful to get in the same room with your favorite players.
I see. Yeah. Um, yeah, we know that you love music. So what is the clearest sign that music loves you back, so to speak?
There is sign that music loves you back. These are tricky questions, and let me think. I think to me, music is about feelings, and it's how music makes you feel. And you know, for me, I put in a lot of time and work and effort at that, and hours, and you know, agonizing, and do the whole musician gauntlet of, oh God, this is rubbish, to, or maybe it's not too bad, this is brilliant, and it's rubbish. You know, the musician's way. So, and also, you know, it's 95% rejection, and you know, it's 99% perspiration. And I remember one of my mentors saying to me, just remember that you know, 95% of the work songs that you write are not your best 5%. So, which is a good point. But his point was just keep writing, keep writing. Not everything is going to be brilliant all the time. So I think it is. I just think the rewards are when something gets together, when you get the chills, when you write a song or you record a song or you hear a song or you play a song or you play with other musicians and there's just that moment of magic. To me, that you only need 5 minutes of that on stage or an hour of that on stage to make up for the 23 hours of sitting in a van and with farting musicians trying not to think you've wasted your life. It's just that moment of connection. I think it's all about connection. I think that's what all musicians probably secretly craving. Should be a psychologist, but I think we're all just craving connection, and music gives you that. I worked with an African band a couple of years ago, a really cool singer from Uganda and some musicians, a kora player and a drummer from the Gambia. And it was absolutely brilliant. And even though there were some language difficulties, um, the music was a common language. And, the only thing that held us back was working out when to stop and start because nobody used the same language. But the actual music was just, you don't need language.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the power of music to bring people together is just astounding to me.
It did well, to me too, and I do find music healing. It's interesting, actually. A friend of mine has been working on, real healing music from a prescriptive perspective, using certain frequencies that are meant to heal and support, the vibrations within the body. But I think, to a certain extent, all music, or certainly music that moves you, if it moves you up there, then I think it moves your whole body.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sounds like an interesting project. Okay. So my final question would be,
There's my last and final. Thank you. See you soon. No worries. That's them all gone now. Sorry about that.
yeah, so my final question would be, what does music mean to you?
Music means I can communicate. It means I can express myself. And it just means that it's given me a life in terms of, uh, it's been my work, it's been my hobby, it's been my passion, it's been my it really has for me just been so much part of my life and everything, teaching, working in community work. It's not all about just me being a musician. I just love, I do a lot of community work. I do a lot of special educational needs work. I've worked with a lot of people with all sorts of physical um, disabilities as well. To me, music is totally inclusive and it's totally expressive, and that, to me, it's what it's about.
I think that's a wonderful answer to end on. Thank you very much, Liz Lenton of Auburn, for joining the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.